What if the real hero of the Mahabharata wasn't the warrior who fired the final arrow? What if it was the old man watching from the sidelines? The one person everyone forgot to thank. The author himself. You know the Mahabharata, right? Epic war, 5 brothers versus 100 cousins, 18 days of bloodshed. Arjuna gets the glory. Bhima gets the strength. But here's the thing. When the dust settled, and over 4 million warriors lay dead on Kurukshetra's blood-soaked ground, there was one man left standing who nobody celebrated, Vyasa. And what he did after the war makes every battlefield victory look like a warm-up act. See, we treat Vyasa like a narrator, a storyteller, the guy with the pen. But that's like calling Einstein that guy who could do math. Vyasa wasn't just documenting history. He was performing the most critical rescue operation in human consciousness. The war ended. Dharma won technically. But look around. The Kuru dynasty, obliterated. The greatest warriors of the age, dead. Every major kingdom, destroyed. The sole surviving heir to the throne, a boy still in his mother's womb. We're talking about civilizational collapse. Complete annihilation of an entire generation's knowledge, culture and wisdom. And here's where it gets crazy. Vyasa was already ancient by then. The texts suggest he lived for over 100 years, possibly even longer through yogic practices. He'd watched this entire civilization grow. He'd been there before the war, his own grandchildren fighting on both sides. His son Shuka had renounced the world. His other contributions? He'd already organized the Vedas into 4 parts, written 18 Puranas, and composed the Brahma Sutras. This man had spent his entire life preserving knowledge. And now, he had to watch it all burn. But wait, Vyasa doesn't give up. He doesn't retire to the forest and meditate in despair. He does something that would take a modern writer 20 years with a team of researchers. He composes the Mahabharata. All 100,000 verses of it. That's roughly 1.8 million words. 4 times longer than the Bible. 7 times longer than the Iliad and Odyssey combined. And he does this specifically after the war ends. Why? Because he understood something we're only now rediscovering. Cultural memory dies faster than people. Within 1 generation, truth becomes legend. Within 2, legend becomes myth. Within 3, myth becomes forgotten. The war wiped out everyone who knew the old ways, the dharmic principles, the ethical frameworks that held civilization together. If Vyasa didn't capture it immediately, it would vanish like smoke. And here's the part that'll blow your mind. He writes an epic so gripping, so emotionally devastating, so filled with betrayal and love and sacrifice that people would memorize it, pass it down orally, perform it, live it. The Bhagavad Gita? That's just 700 verses tucked inside this massive epic. We treat it like the main event, but it's actually just one conversation on one morning of one day of the war. Vyasa embedded the universe's deepest philosophical truths inside a story about a family destroying itself. He wrapped medicine in honey, made wisdom irresistible. But he's not done. After composing the epic, Vyasa entrusts it to his core disciples. He teaches it. He has them memorize different sections. He creates a redundancy system like backing up data across multiple servers with his students Vaisampayana, Jaimini and others. Because he knows if one lineage dies out, another preserves it. If one region forgets, another remembers. And here's something we completely overlook. Vyasa deliberately puts himself in the story. He's not just the author, he's a character. His mother Satyavati, in it. His sons Dhritarashtra and Pandu, the very fathers of the 2 warring factions, in it. His grandsons fighting on both sides, all there. He writes his own family's tragedy into the narrative. Imagine writing about your grandchildren killing each other, then spending decades teaching that story to strangers. That's not authorship, that's sacrifice. The war lasted 18 days. Vyasa's work after it? The epic itself states he spent 3 full years composing the Mahabharata, dictating it to Ganesha. Then, he spent decades teaching and establishing the tradition. While kingdoms rebuilt, while survivors grieved, while the world tried to forget, Vyasa made sure they remembered. Not the glory, not the victory, but the cost, the complexity, the moral weight. Here's what makes Vyasa the secret hero. Warriors fight one battle. They win or lose, live or die, and it's over. But Vyasa fought a battle against time itself, against forgetting, against the entropy of human memory. And his weapon? Words. 1.8 million of them, arranged so perfectly that 5,000 years later, we're still reading them. Think of it like this. The war killed millions in 18 days. But Vyasa's work has shaped billions of minds across 5,000 years. That's not just writing. That's civilizational engineering. It's like being the last person alive after a nuclear war and deciding to rebuild human knowledge from scratch. Except instead of building bunkers, fascinated, you build stories so powerful they survive purely through the human desire to share them. No printing press, no digital storage, just memory, repetition, and the weight of truth. Every warrior on that battlefield is dust now. Even the ground where they fought has changed. Rivers shifted, cities rose and fell, empires came and went. But Vyasa's words? Still here, still relevant, still teaching. He didn't just win a battle. He won the war against oblivion itself. So here's what they don't tell you about heroism. Sometimes the greatest act isn't charging into battle. It's staying behind afterward, picking up the pieces, doing the unglamorous work of making sure the sacrifice meant something, making sure the lessons survived, making sure the next generation doesn't have to learn everything the hard way again. Vyasa watched his world end, and instead of ending with it, he became the bridge, the keeper, the voice that whispered across centuries. This happened. Learn from it. Remember. We build statues for warriors. We sing songs about kings. But who remembers the chronicler, the one who ensured the story outlived the storytellers, the man who understood that the real battle isn't fought with arrows, it's fought with memory. Every time you hear a story from the Mahabharata, you're experiencing Vyasa's victory, not over an army, over time itself. Vyasa spent 3 years making sure nobody could agree on who the hero was. He wrote it so truthfully that some of us see ourselves in Karna's loyalty, others in Arjuna's doubt, some in Krishna's divine plan, others in Duryodhana's pride. 5,000 years later, we are still arguing about who was right. That wasn't an accident. Vyasa knew the real story of humanity isn't about finding the one hero. It's about understanding why we each need different ones. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you in the next one.